bookmark that website, Skyships, over at cashiers.com, because, like I said, if you want to find out information rather than going on Facebook and other media, go to her website. I mean, that and Peter Davenport, the National UFO Reporting Center, are the two major websites I get a lot of information from. And I want to thank you, Mary, for having it, because, without you, I mean, I would be relying on all this other stuff out there. And I was almost going to say the other crap out there. And I apologize for even saying that now. But I mean, it's so much misleading stuff out there. It is scary, and people buy into it.
There's been many stories that people have sent to me, and it looks really good when I first see them. And when I start digging into it, even if I've started to write about it, I have to throw it away because it's just not credible enough.
Yeah, I have talked to guests on my show. It's like that too. I mean, you talk to them ahead of time, and maybe for half an hour, and they tell you everything, and then when you get them on the air, all of a sudden the story changes and it gets rather interesting.
Right.
So, anything else going on strange out there since we talked last month?
I'm trying to think. I would like to repeat some stuff because I want to stay on your topic that you're having this week. I've mentioned this in the past when you and I have talked, but there is a term or a technique called sky fishing, and anybody can do it. And when you go out, you can aim your camera oftentimes right at the sun, and even though your eyes can't look at it, you oftentimes will be able to pick up different things around the sun, or sometimes just at the sky itself. And that's why they call it sky fishing. You just start taking pictures of the sky. And it's amazing what you can get, even with a small camera. I have a small Canon, and I have a regular Canon. And even with the little one, I'm able to get some shots that are very interesting. There's an orb that I almost always can get that's around the sun. And people will say, well, it's just an optic effect from the camera, but you can see it move in and out of the sun. You can see it do different things sometimes, but we have been seeing that ourselves since 2009, and who knows how long that particular orb has been around the sun. I just don't know, but at least since 2009.
That is too strange, too. Now, another thing, too, a while back, a few months ago, there were so many people on Facebook claiming they had pictures of Planet X coming out by the sun. Have you heard anything more about that or anything about that? Because it seemed to die off here in the last probably 2 months.
I'm trying to remember. It may have been earlier this year. We had something about that very recently, and there is something that is man-made that's out there that will reflect the sun back at us. It's like a shield. There's many theories on that one. Some people think it's to cover up the 12th planet, or Planet X, or Nibiru, whatever people choose to call it. There's something going on, because we've gotten pictures of things that look like two suns. We've got them from Alaska, and we took the photos from the different monitoring stations that they have across Alaska and found it there. We've found them from the cameras that are set up all the time at the observation stations in Antarctica. There's something. And even though it's gone quiet, that doesn't mean that there isn't something going on. We may not be able to explain it right, but people are still seeing this thing that appears to be like a second sun. There is something. Now, whether it's a planet or whether it's, somebody's big mothership out there, I don't know. But something's going on.
Well, it sounds like it. Yeah, and then also in the news the last couple of days, they're talking about the scientists want to dim the sun by putting stuff up above the atmosphere to, kind of block the sun, thinking it'll keep the Earth from overheating. But on the other hand, when I was reading that article, Also, wouldn't that be a good way for people can't take their telescopes and see what's going on out there at the same time?
Well, some people believe, and it may be very valid, is that the whole heart phenomena has been created to help shield the Earth from what the sun is doing. We're losing our protective layer around the sun, around the Earth, and they may actually be trying to do something to shield us from it. I know for a fact that the sun is more intense than it used to be. Many years ago, I lived on Cocoa Beach, and that's when I began to notice that the sun was getting more white. When I was a child, the sun was much more of a yellow-orange color, or yellow color, and now it is truly a white phenomena for the most part. And, there's been some changes in our atmosphere.
Oh, yeah, I've noticed that, too, and I think I've mentioned it to you, too. But one thing I have noticed is, especially the last 2 years, more than ever, you go outside about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it just doesn't seem as bright outside as it did a few years ago. It almost, you go out at 3 o'clock, at least where I live on the West Coast, it almost feels like you're stepping out around 6 o'clock during the summertime. The brightness isn't there like it was. I mean, it's kind of, how can I say it? It seems dim. And I've heard that from a lot of other people saying the same thing. They notice that the sun isn't as bright and intense as it used to be. Now, have you even noticed that yourself?
I have not.
Yeah, you might want to this coming...
I will be more observant and see if I see any of that. But what I have seen, and it's still consistent, is if you look at the sun, it is white.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Same thing, I don't know how old you are, and it's none of my business, but I'm going on 67, and I tell you, I when I was younger, I do what you don't supposed to do, look at the sun and all that stuff, and it seemed to me that the sun, like you said, it had a yellowish and a brighter tint to it, and now, to me, it's just kind of white. Now, I don't know if the sun is cooling or what is going on.
The white indicates it's hotter.
That's a good possibility because I'm not a scientist.
Yellow is a cooler color than white. White is, you've heard the term white hot, and white is hotter. So it's either because the sun is hotter or because our atmosphere is getting thinner. I'm kind of betting on the atmosphere being changed.
That could be, well, we've done a lot there. Of course, then we have certain people that say, hey, that's not happening. It's just, it'll change back. I don't think it's going to change back. I think it's going to intensify from everything I have read. So maybe the aliens and these UFOs that are being seen by people, maybe they are trying to, help us or something.
Even if they're not interested in us, they might have every reason to want to save the planet.
Well, certainly, because they can reboot it, because I really feel that this planet has been rebooted several times. So maybe they don't want to lose that capability. Right,
and they may, some of them at least, may have much more care about that than they do about us.
How Earth has been coming up again in the news off and on here in the last month. I was reading an article that the person that wrote it claims that there are aliens in our inner Earth, and that's where we see a lot of UFOs coming and going. Have you?
Well, I've written about Antarctica, and believe it or not, there is a huge number of volcanoes in western Antarctica. One of the universities in England did a research project a year ago, and they discovered 91 more or additional volcanoes beneath the ice. And volcanoes create tubes and big caverns when the lava is flowing. And from the information I've gotten, I'm depending mostly on William Tompkin. And he was in Navy intelligence, and he worked at the highest levels with NASA. He worked with Wernher von Braun. And he said he is a great source of information about Hitler working with one race of reptilians who helped them develop, spaceships, and that they were located in these chambers that had been created by the volcanoes and have been there for, who knows how long, and that they still are there. And even before World War II, Hitler and his group were in connection with them. And, that's not exactly what you call the hollow earth, but it is beneath the surface, and, something really is going on there. I would suspect if you type Antarctica into our search bar on the homepage, you might be able to find a number of articles we've written about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, our time is almost up. Again, you wrote some books. Why don't you, mention your books and where they can find them?
Okay, all righty. There's 3 books that are in publication right now. One is Cherokee Little People Were Real, and you and I have talked about that subject before. One is, underground military facilities hidden in the North Carolina mountains. And the third one is Tangible Evidence of Jesus Left Behind for Us to Find. If you go to Editor's Corner on the homepage and scroll to the very bottom, there's a 1-paragraph summary of each of those books, and there's also a sample chapter from the Jesus book. As with the website, there's lots of photos and everything that I do, so it's not just tedious gray reading material. It's kind of animated as you can be on a piece of paper or on pages. And all the books are available through Amazon.
That's great. People, you need to check it out. And you need, again, I'm going to mention skyshipsovercashiers.com. You need to go on her website and check it out. She also, I think one of your associates, as I remember you telling me, post up a little articles up on Facebook every day. And, that's much appreciated, too. I take it by a lot of people.
Yes, Vicki McMahon is our Facebook manager. And if you just type in skyships.overcashers.com in the Facebook section, you'll be able to get to it that way. She goes into the archives a lot and will pull up different things. It's not always just the current information.
Yeah, well, people, you need to check that out. And, Mary, like always, I enjoy having you on the show. Hopefully I can get you back on next month. Anything you want to say here? You got like about 3 minutes. Anything you want to get out to the people?
I guess I just have my own little soapbox stand. People need to pay more attention to their own gut for their own protection in whatever they get into. And don't believe everything you hear the first time. Check it out a couple different directions. Because the truth is there. Sometimes we just have to dig a little bit harder to find it out. Don't take everything at face value. Go at least a step further to check everything out before you swallow it whole.
Oh, yeah. Now, do you get, one quick question, do you get a lot of people, giving you stories of, aliens and Bigfoot? Do you get, like a lot of emails from people on that?
I get some. And usually there are people who are quite serious, I told you about the man who has the Cosmic Top Secret background, and he sent the statement that I will be posting this within the week. And his title, it's not mine, it's called Why is Alien Disclosure So Hard? And he contacts us, every once in a while. And then we had I guess it's too late to get into another story. Make a footnote. I will tell you next time that we talk about the man who discovered something beneath the power plant.
Oh, that would be interesting.
But it gets a little bit involved. I should have thought of it earlier.
Well, okay, like part 2. So, next time you're on, we need to talk about it. Hey, Mary, I really enjoyed having you on. And again, everybody needs to go to skyshipsovercashiers.com. Check out Mary's website. She is and has been a reporter for various newspapers, so she knows what she's talking about. She knows how to dig up good stories, and believe me, Her website will keep you going for hours.
You're very kind. Thank you.